the octave of Easter, we have a very familiar gospel, and it comes from the resurrection narrative of St. Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 to 35. And we read, "That very day, the first day of the week, two of Jesus' disciples were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus, and they were conversing about all the things that had occurred. And it happened that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them, but their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. He asked them, 'What are you discussing as you walk along?' They stopped, looking downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, said to him in reply, 'Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place there in these days?' And he replied to them, 'What sort of things?' They said to him, 'The things that happened to Jesus, the Nazarene, who was a prophet mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, how our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel. And besides all this, it is now the third day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. Then some of those who went with us went to the tomb and found things just as the women had described, but him they did not see.' And he said to them, 'Oh, how foolish you are, how slow of heart, and believe all that the prophets spoke. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory?' Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther. But they urged him, 'Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, and the day is almost over.' So he went in to stay with them. And it happened that while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them. With that their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. But he vanished from their sight. When they said to each other, 'Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?' So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11 and those who were with them, who were saying, 'The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon.' Then the two recounted what had taken place on the way and how he was made known to them in the breaking of the bread." Dear friends, this is a beautiful gospel reading. In fact, it was a passage that was taken as the icon for the final document of the Synod on Youth that was some years ago. And very recently also. No? I'd like to focus on certain things, some takeaways from this experience of reading the gospel, particularly this part of the disciples who were going to Emmaus. And here they are. First, the disciples were moving away from Jerusalem. They were moving away from the place where it all happened, the passion of Jesus, his death and resurrection. And you know, it's quite ironic. Why? Luke used 10 chapters, more than a third of his gospel, for the journey to Jerusalem, and more than 4 chapters for the ministry and passion and resurrection that were in Jerusalem. And now these two disciples are moving out of it. They were missing the point. Understandably, they were disappointed and discouraged. There are times when we move away from the light, when we move away from where we should be because we are discouraged. But then The second thing, Jesus accompanied them. Even in their disappointment, they were accompanied by Jesus. He walked with them and he talked with them. This is very significant for us who are accompanying young people or who are accompanying those who need accompaniment. And that is even if these people are discouraged, especially that time where they really would need accompaniment. And then third, Jesus explained scriptures to them. The only way to interpret our experiences is through scriptures. Nay more, as Christians, the only way we can interpret scriptures is through Jesus. Fourth, our hearts burn when Jesus speaks to us through scriptures, but the experience becomes complete only through the breaking of the bread, the Eucharist. For that is the time when these two disciples recognized Jesus at the breaking of the bread, at the Eucharist. And then lastly, when they found Jesus, they returned to Jerusalem and shared their experience to the rest of the disciples. Our experiences with the Lord lead us back to the right place, and we cannot but share these to others. It is an invitation for each one of us to do the same, that as we experience the Lord, we do not keep it only to ourselves, but we share it with others, with our family, with our peers, with those who are with us in the work, and to those who really need the sharing of experiences. And I'd like to greet for today, it's April 7, Mr. Jesse Peralta. Happy birthday. And we are praying for you. And Mr. Sir Jesse is our purchaser. May your experience in Don Bosco be truly one like that of the disciples, an experience of the risen Jesus. I bid you all have a great day.